All right, everybody. Today I've got John Merchant from Ghosts of Sunset. He's got a new album coming out called Headed West, and we're going to talk about that. And let's welcome John to the show. What's up, man?
Hey man, how you doing, brother? Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for coming on. Uh, I definitely want to get right into that new album, but first, you were in bands previously, and you've been doing this music thing a long time.
Yeah.
Was Dutch Henry one of your kind of bigger acts that
Yeah.
you were in, or?
Yeah, we did some national touring, released a couple records, had a small record label. That was more like Americana stuff, alt country they call it. Kind of I always describe it as like a little more folky on the songwriting and lyric end, but with rock guitars and drums.
Yeah,
So we did that for years, and did a lot of shows, a lot of touring. Played with everyone from at one time we were playing with everyone from Kenny Chesney and Joe Diffie to the Goo Goo Dolls, and you name it. We were out playing shows, doing openers and stuff for bands like that.
yeah,
Um, so and then that over the last 30 years, it's been a lot of everything from the bar gigs. I started playing bar gigs when I was 16, and then obviously toured with Dutch Henry, and so yeah, it's been a I don't know. People always say, I always tell them I'm too dumb to quit, man.
it's a rough business. Why any of us ever decided to get into it? And could question
It's
your own sanity if you knew what you were
yes,
getting into. Maybe you would have changed your mind, but probably not, right?
yeah, no, man, it's nothing like you think it's gonna be when you're 14.
Yeah,
Um, but it's there's nothing else I've ever wanted to do either. So you're kind of
definitely.
stuck.
Yeah. So you guys are on Golden Robot Records. That's I
Yeah,
was a good label. Some
you
good acts on there.
yeah, when we were kind of talking to labels and trying to get some interest going, they seem to be the ones who were most focused on, you know, on the music, on what we
Yeah.
had to offer. They understood what we were doing. And to be honest with you, as a, straight up music fan, they had a lot of bands on the label that I admired and looked up to and enjoyed over the years. And that was everyone from, Steve Riley's LA Guns is on there right now, King's X,
Yeah,
Phil
yeah.
X and the Drills, you
Yep.
know, um, and we've also made friends with some of the other bands on the label. Minefield have a new record out. Wild Street. There's a lot of good bands there, so we found like that would be the best place for us. People, you'll hear people say this. I know I said it. Oh, you don't need a record label.
Right.
People saying that are normally people who don't have a record label. But it's not 1984 either. It's
Right.
not satin jackets and cocaine. But it's nice to have someone in your corner with a little, they just have a wider reach, and have someone interested in the music and willing to help. So
Yeah, and that label, the first thing, if you go to their website, which I did go to today,
yeah,
uh, like the first thing they say is like, "Hey, we started off as this, tiny little label, this idea from people that love music, and now I see they've got like seven different labels underneath them. It's crazy. I mean, it
it it
it
is.
yeah, and it's
It
great
is.
that it's great you're on a label that knows music. And you
Well,
guys, everyone on that label, you can all kind of band together. It could be like a big, promotional tool for everybody. I think it's great.
yeah, when we first got involved with Golden Robot, we were looking at some of their subsidiary labels,
Right.
and that even that, we were going great, we'll find a little home there, and we can put this music out. And then we met with Mark, the president of the label, and he really got what we were doing. And he went, "Hey, we think Golden Robot itself is a good home for you guys." So they've been really good to us, and it's still a lot of work, and it's always going to be a lot of work. But if you have someone on the other side who's willing to match you, match your work ethic, it makes it a lot easier. So we're grateful for Golden Robot. And, you know, like I said, and like you had mentioned, it's a umbrella for a lot of great music and a lot of different genres. For us, like I said, we saw a lot of bands there that we, whose work we respected. So we were glad to be a part of it. We're grateful for it, for sure.
Oh yeah, I definitely would be. So what did get you started in music? Do you have any early childhood memories where it's just like you heard something or you saw something and now you were just like, that's it? Or was it kind of a gradual or?
No, I mean, I'm dead serious. I just don't remember anything else. It's like I don't remember the, you know, going, well, I'd like to be a cowboy or a fireman or, you know, a ninja, whatever, you know. I just all I've ever wanted to do, well, that's not true. I wanted to play music and I wanted to be a truck driver.
Oh, okay.
Before my dad left home, my dad left home when I was around 4. He's a musician and a truck driver. So, you know, everybody wants to be like their
Okay.
dad, you know. So, but I can remember my, you know, my goal was I wanted to play music in a bar. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't need to play the Forum and I didn't need to, you know, be Led Zeppelin. I just wanted to play music in front of people. So as a little boy, you know, first grade, I still have schoolmates who will say, you know, I remember when I would have the girls sit on a bench and I would pretend to put on a concert for them, you know. So it's all I've wanted to do. And it's, you know, like we were talking about, it's just, you know, it's ups and downs and it's an emotional roller coaster and it costs the cost of
Oh,
doing this is, and I don't mean financially, you know, it's
oh,
the,
I know.
yeah, right. It's the funerals. It's, you know, it's your aunt passes away and you go, hey man, I'm not home for that. Or, you know, uh, you know, the high school graduation, they walk, you know, we had a local hockey arena where they held the thing and, you know, you miss some of that stuff, but,
Yeah.
um, I just never wanted anything else in my life. And you know, it's like being called to the ministry. It's just, you know, it's like I was ordained somehow. And when I heard the Beatles, um, you know, I grew up in the 70s and the Beatles were done by then, but they were still, there was a Beatles cartoon,
Right.
you know, so the Beatles, the Monkees, you know, I thought,
Yeah.
well, that looks like fun. You know, I'm
Oh,
not
I
only do
love
you
the
get to play,
monkeys.
me too, me too. The
Yeah.
music I love, you know, love the music. And then the idea of it,
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
like
the
we're all going to
TV
move into a
show and
house together, dude, and we'll get a hot rod and, you know, we'll rock and there'll be hijinks. And
yeah.
you know, it didn't quite turn out like that. It was nothing like the Monkees, but yeah, that stuff really hooked me and got me excited about it. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, for me, music was, I started off on guitar and you know, I was so shy and so introverted, and I still am kind of an introvert. That's kind of why I'm forcing myself to do things like this podcast.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
like, I don't just, you know, go, oh, there's a pandemic. I'm never leaving the house again. I'm not talking, you know, that's it. I'm
Yeah.
done. You know.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, so like I found guitar, you know, and that was the first thing for me. And because I was always so shy, I couldn't be the guy to get up in front of people and speak or sing. Ugh, none of that.
Right.
But guitar I could do. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Well, and it kind of doesn't it give people like you and me, you know, and I would kind of consider myself that way too. Like I was never in a hurry to. I guess I was extra an introverted extrovert, you know. Um, but that, you know, that music, that guitar, it gave me a voice. You know,
Right.
I was from a single home. We were poor. I was, you know, a chubby kid. I was, you know, weird looking. You know, we were poor, so you know, I had the weird clothes. Um, but music seemed to, it was okay to be a misfit there, you know, and it was okay to be different, and it was okay to be weird, and then you start finding people who are weird like you, like me. You know, we find each
Yeah.
other, and you go, hey man, I like this band. Oh, I like this band. I can remember in, you know, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, it was me in this circle of weirdos, usually kids who had older brothers who listened to Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, you know, Sammy Hagar, Billy Squire, you know, all that stuff. And the other kids were like, what planet are these guys from? You know, and
Yeah.
most of the kids in 6th grade didn't know or care about Crocus, but we did,
Yeah. Oh,
we were
right.
into it,
Yeah.
and I was in 6th grade, and I'm a kid in 6th grade that has, your desk would open up, you put your books and stuff in there. Well, I'd have pictures inside the desk of Billy Squire, Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth, and it's all I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
Wore the rock shirts every day. So you can imagine, a 6th grade kid who's chubby in a, Ted Nugent Penetrator shirt with camouflage pants that he got from, from the church brought over. And yet somehow the other rockers, my other little friends, that was okay, man, because I knew everyone. I knew, who sang in Crocus, and I knew every member of Van Halen, and I knew, so that gave us, you know, it gave us a place. And I know that sounds a little silly and hippy dippy. That's still what music does for me, even
Yeah.
at my age now, is it gives me a place. And trust me, and I'm sure you get this, a lot of people do, but, you know, I've got a son now. I'm sure that, his friends are like, man, your dad is a weird cat.
Right.
He's weird. And it's my son's life. So he goes, well, it's Friday, my dad's gigging, or my dad's on
Yeah.
the road. Um, so it's just finding other people like you. And that's what music did for me. It gave me other people like me. I didn't have
Yeah.
to feel alone.
Yeah. In high school, it was, I think about me and about 5 or 6 other musicians with long hair
Yeah.
that hung out. And, we all had other friends and everything, but like we could always revert back to our little clique,
Yep.
So we actually kind of formed, a little group, the jocks liked us, and I'm just using old high school
Right.
terms.
I
Okay.
know
I'm not
exactly
trying
what you
to,
mean.
not
Yeah.
trying to offend anybody, but
Exactly.
back in the day in my high school, I was known as a freak because I had long hair and wore the jean jackets with the rock
Right.
pins on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there were the jocks, and there were a lot, of each of us, and we, we'd actually, and this is actually in 7th and 8th grade, about 3 different times, all the jocks and all the freaks met after school, an hour after school, like a half-mile down the road, and we brawled.
You rumbled? You had a
We
rumble?
rumbled, man. We
All
rumbled.
right.
And we beat their ass every time.
You did. Oh, but the rockers, man. They don't know. They don't know that we're used to, the jocks aren't always used to fighting. We have to
Yeah.
fight all the time. In my school, if you were wearing, if you had a Faster Pussycat jean jacket on,
Yep.
you're probably going to have to throw hands once or twice,
Yeah.
Um, that's killer. You had the rumble, man.
It was
The
great.
socias against the greasers.
I'll never forget, the first time I was so scared. And, but, my best friend, well, I had 2 best friends. They were both the toughest guys in school.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I wasn't all that worried because I'll just stay by them. But no, after that first time when I was just like, oh yeah, we just beat their ass, it just got fun, So
Yeah.
all right.
Then you had a new hobby, man.
Yeah. No, I've always been very my parents were getting divorced at that same time when I was in like 6th, 7th grade, and I think that really affected me. So
Yeah.
I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff that I don't condone anymore, but just
Yeah.
having a little fun, sharing a little history. So let's talk
Not
about
encouraging everyone to go out
no,
and fight. Just let the record show that.
Exactly. And sorry for the derogatory terms.
Yeah.
So let's get into your new album, man. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of guest stars here.
We do. Yeah. So, the whole thing kind of launched. My partner in Ghost of Sunset, a guy named Todd Long, he and I went to high school together. We met in high school. We bonded over what, you talk about derogatory terms. We bonded over hair metal.
Right.
And we were guys who, you know, and probably like everyone else at school, you know, even you talk about the jocks and the freaks or whatever, you know, even in your rock and roll people, you had the thrashers, you know, the
Yeah.
guys who listened to Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, Venom, you know, then you had your mainstream rock folks, you know, the girls all like Def Leppard too, and that's then
Right.
you had the real, you know, myself, Todd, a couple, the glam guys, and we were listening to music like Pretty Boy Floyd, Faster Pussycat, Vane, L.A. Guns, Enough's Enough, you know, all that stuff. That's how we met, and we started making music. He was the best, and still is one of the best musicians I've ever met. He was probably the best musician in our school, and I just hounded him. He was a drummer, which you know, in the world of music, drummers are like gold nuggets, you know.
Oh, oh yeah.
Um, and then a good one, you know. I'd played with plenty of drummers, but I'd never played with a good one. So I just nagged him, dude. Let's go in your basement jam. Can we go in your basement jam? Hey, I'll come over and jam, you know. And so we finally did, and then we started making music. We were playing in bar bands. We were every time I got in a bar band and we needed a drummer, I'd go, I'll call Todd. You know, I'll call Todd. It's Friday night and the drummer's not going to show up. I'll call Todd. He'll learn the songs on the way. Um, and so
Great.
he and I have been making music for about 30 years. We got into this ghost thing. I was out running, and I had an idea. I'm like, man, nobody's ever done a concept album about hair metal. And
Okay.
yeah, everybody loves, but we all watch Behind the Music, you know. I love it. I don't care who's on Behind the Music. Like
Oh,
if it's Motley Crue, cool. If it's Celine Dion, cool. I don't care. I just want to see behind the curtain. I don't care what you're doing. You
yeah.
know,
It's
Backstreet
a
Boys, I'm in.
story. You know, it's a
Yeah, right.
story, right? Yeah.
And I'm a music freak, so I want to see you on the tour bus. I want to see backstage, all that stuff. So I called Todd. I go, hey man, I had this idea. Within a day, he sends me this music bed. He goes, here's some chords I'm working on. It became Miles in Between, our first single on Golden Robot. And
Great.
we just were off and running. So we start writing these songs, and we want them to be period correct. Like we want them to sound like that era. So we're making recording decisions we haven't made in 20 years. You know, we've been making music for 30 some years, but as things progress, you go, well, you know, maybe we won't put all that reverb on the kick drum. Maybe we won't have the snare go whoosh, whoosh, you know, or, you know, the guitars aren't going to be, there aren't going to be 16 guitars on this track. So we had to go back and start making decisions like we were back in the day.
Right.
And one of the things we said was, you know, these songs really need that ripping guitar solo. That was the thing. We called Johnny Monaco, who was in Enough's Enough and LA Guns. Hey man, here's a song. If you like it, maybe you want
Right.
to cop a solo on it. You know, if you don't, and our understanding was always the same. If you dig it, cool. If you don't, no hard feelings, but don't waste your time.
Right.
He sends back this great solo. And we're like, okay, now that's cool. That song's done. The next song comes up, and then you start going, well, geez, I wonder if so and so, you know, so Stacy Blades from Rock's Gang and who played in Rat,
Right.
we had a song, you know, you get a hold of Stacy Blades, same pitch. And he goes, yeah, this is a great song. I'll do that. And it just rolled from there. And then we ended up with this dream list of people that, you know, we loved and respected. It was our way to kind of give back to, not that they need us, you know, Tracy Guns doesn't need Ghosts of Sunset, but it was still our way to kind of go, hey, thank you
Yeah.
for 1987. Thank you for 1988. Thank you for, you know, for me and my 5 freak friends who, you know, we're going to go over here and fight the jocks, you know, because you brought us together. And that's how the whole thing has gone. And it's just been this constant homage to something that meant the world to me. You hear people talk about seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. You know, you hear
Yeah.
that story all the time. Well, our Ed Sullivan was Headbangers Ball, you
Yeah.
know. So we had those moments. I mean, I remember seeing, you know, and I wish I could remember what the first video I saw was, but you know, maybe it was, you know, Rip and Tear or something from LA Guns, and going, oh my God, look at this dude, Tracy Guns, you know, like I can describe him. I could probably grab a guitar right now and lip sync the whole video. I remember all his moves. And so as this thing went, it just kind of all built into this homage, this real paying back, you know, to these people who don't realize what they did for freakish people like me, you know, for people who didn't have a place. Heavy metal, hard rock gave me that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was telling I have a 13-year-old. I was telling them the other night, I go, you know, we were listening to Iron Maiden. And I said, dude, these guys taught me a lot. You know, not, you know, they taught me, I remember in 7th grade standing up and quoting Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. And the teacher looked at me like, well, this greasy haired kid must be a genius. I wasn't a genius. I was an Iron Maiden fan, you know? So, you know, the whole Ghost thing has really been a chance for us to really throw some, you know, I guess the kids call them props these days, but just to really throw some thank yous to people who did stuff for me that I'm sure the Who, the Doors, Zeppelin did for them, you
Yeah.
know, and that's how it's progressed. So that's how we wound up with all these artists on our record, was just basically coming up with these, hearing a sound in our head and going, man, this person would work. And lo
Yeah.
and behold, you know, it
Johnny
worked.
Johnny Monaco is fantastic.
Genius. He's great in anything he does.
Man,
And funny, funny
oh,
guy.
I was gonna say, if you've never hung out with him, man, oh, you have to. I mean, it's an
His
experience.
his tour blogs are funny. His, you know, he was podcasting for a while. It was funny. He's got a great voice and tells a great
Yep.
story.
Yep.
You know, he was not too long ago. He was selling some stuff like on Facebook Marketplace in his hometown, and even those posts were funny. You know,
Yeah.
he's just
I saw
that
those.
guy. Yeah, yeah,
They're
and
fantastic.
amazing musician, amazing, because of the genre, right? The hair metal, and what has happened over the years, how it was seen by folks who didn't live it really. I get it. You know, we get it. I get that the clothes were funny. I get that the hair was too poofy. Mine was too. You know, I get all of that. When you strip that stuff away, you have, you know, I don't care what you say about Cherry Pie, right? The song Cherry Pie. You can sing the chorus. I can sing the chorus. Half the people on the street can sing the chorus. You know, the same can be, you know, how come when Pour Some Sugar on Me comes on, every girl in the place gets up and dances? That's not hair, that's not clothes, that's not makeup, that's songs.
Yep.
And this genre of music that we're celebrating is full of great songs and great musicians. In 1987, dude, you couldn't be in a band and be mediocre because you couldn't play any cover tunes.
Yeah.
It wasn't Foghat,
Yeah.
you know, it was Still of the Night. Now take those two songs, you know, you take, you know, Slow Ride, and then you take Still of the Night, and you think about the chops needed to play those songs.
Yep.
And no disrespect to Foghat, rock on.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I mean? It was just to be in a band, you had to be pretty good, you know,
Yeah.
to be
Well,
in a decent cover band.
yeah, especially for a guitar player,
Oh,
because I mean, it's a guitar player, and
everybody.
you know, for a while I was better than everyone I knew, but
Yeah.
I never practiced, not seriously. And somewhere around high school, junior, senior year, I started to notice everyone was getting really good, and I
Yeah.
stayed the same.
All right. I
And
wonder
I was
what that is.
kind of like, I think I'll just buy a bass. I don't feel like, you know, I'm not going to practice for 8 hours a day just so I can try to keep up with these people,
Right.
you know.
Well,
So,
that's the other thing is, you know, in that era, music had become, especially guitar playing, it almost became like track and field. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It was like,
yeah,
who's the fastest? Who can jump the highest? Who can do this? Who can do
yeah,
that? And I was the same way. And I still am a guitar player. I play a lot of the guitars on the Ghost of Sunset stuff. But I came from a different school. Well, the guys were Steve Vying and Paul Gilbert and Nuno Betancourt, all of these guys I love. I was
right,
always
yeah,
over here with, you know, Faster Pussycat and, you know, L.A. Gun. I liked Guns N' Roses. I liked that bluesy,
yeah,
sleazy, you know. And the cool thing is you didn't have to be track and field guy.
right,
You could get in there and dig in, and it worked. And that's where I had found my spot to be a guitar player. I'm a guitar player 30 plus years now, and I say professionally, you know, playing gigs and making a living from it because of that. Because I went, dude, I'm not going to be Steve Vai,
Yeah.
but I can be, you know, I can be Brent Muscat, or I can, you know, I can take those elements and make a style out of it. And
Yeah.
again, I owe all those guys that. I
Yeah.
learned that by watching. I learned that, yeah, Tracy Guns is a ripping guitar player, monster guitar player.
Yep.
But he also, you know, he can dig in, he can make the songs move, and sometimes you hear those guys, right? And you get nothing. You don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
Yet you hear Faster Pussycat, and the song gets done, and you feel like you've been in the bathroom of the, you know, the Rainbow or something. You know, I mean, you got that sleaze on you and a little dirt,
Yeah,
and
it
I
kind of
love that.
got. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It kind of got to a point it's after a while it got ridiculous with the amount of talent you needed to be able to show up the next guy. Back to your album, how are you guys recording? I know you're going for, you know, like you were talking about the theme of
Right.
the quote unquote glam rock hair
I know.
metal
I wish
days,
there was a
whatever.
better term. Right. I wish
I
we had a
hate
better
saying
term.
it, but
I
yeah.
do too. You
How's
know
the
what?
are
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you I'm sorry too, but are you in studio like the old days,
No,
or
no.
you're taking full advantage of the technology and the pandemic, so you don't actually have to be together, things like
Right.
that, or
Well, we got
yeah,
really lucky because some of these people we wanted to get a hold of were off the road. They would normally be touring. You know, our
right,
industry would be moving. So we got the opportunity. We had a window of time where we could grab people and do this. Certainly, you know, the advent of everything from file sharing to Pro Tools to, you know, and mind you, we started out, we made records early on tape. We I came up and started making albums in a time where it was on tape. It was on quarter-inch tape. Edits were done cut. You know,
yeah,
all of that. Um, that I miss that. You know, like we talked about the Monkees and the Beatles, and you know,
yeah,
yeah, I would love to move into a house and record a year. Real life doesn't work like that.
yeah,
So fortunately for us, you know, we have pretty elaborate recording rigs. And we were able to utilize studios around the country. So we could track, you know, we could track drums, and, you know, Adam Hamilton could track drums in LA, and I could cut guitars here in Michigan, and my partner Todd could track his parts in Alaska,
yeah,
which is great. You lose something.
yeah,
You're always going to lose something. There's always something that's lost when you're not together and you're not, you know, in that, you know, you haven't rented a house in the south of France to make your records, you know. Utilize technology to be able to reach out to people who could track live drums, you know. Kent Slutcher from Luke Bryan's band tracked his drums in Nashville for us. Um,
great.
which was great. We got him
My
playing on a song, double bass drum, sounds like Motley Crue.
my drummer
Um,
loves that guy, by the way.
yeah, oh, killer guy. Has
Yeah,
done some quarantine, some Kiss stuff that's really cool. So we took it full advantage of it. In my dream world, of course, in my dream world, we would all live in a house. You know,
yeah,
me and Johnny Monaco and my buddy
yeah.
Todd, and you know, and they'd all
Gotta
kill
have
me.
Johnny.
They'd all kill me, and Johnny would be on some blog talking badly about me, like, "Oh, I live with Merchant, and he's
Yeah,
just a pain
yeah,
in the ass," you know.
yeah, and it would be priceless.
It would be the funniest thing you ever saw,
I,
no doubt.
I think I think I'd pay money to like live in his house for a week just to see the stuff he'd say about me.
I can't imagine, because he is just the funniest dude ever. I mean, just the funniest guy.
He's great.
And all these guys who played on the record, and I won't bother, you know, rattling off a list, but I will say the thing that got me is when we presented the songs and went, if you like them, yes. If you don't, you're out. And then, you know, it's one thing to have someone go, I really like this song.
Yeah,
It's another thing to get the part back and go, oh my, you know, this isn't just, you know, someone didn't plug in, peel it out, and send it up. This works with the song. It's moving the thing along. That takes a certain level of musician, and of, you know, of professionalism and of caring,
yeah,
and all these people did that. So there's a lot of gratitude on our end for that. And we're putting a live band together because we want to do some touring in 2021. There's definitely already negotiations to get out and do a few things. It's not like back in the day. Nobody does it like back in the day. I mean, the big names do, but for most of us, we can't go out for 3 months, 4 months, a year,
Yeah.
and it just isn't like that. So we're really trying to find live shows where we can pick our battles, really reach as many people as we can in one setting, and we're hurting right now. Our industry's hurting. People like us are hurting because we can't bring this music to people like we used to.
Yeah.
We can't beat the drum in the streets. We can't come to your town and knock on your door and go, you got to get down here because we're playing and I want you to hear this song, And
Yeah.
so
Well, at least we have social media.
we were doing this in 1988 and 89, where you would get a clump of tickets from a club and have to go down to the mall and try to sell them.
Yes.
Hey man, we're playing down here and tickets are $5, and you'd get, inevitably there'd be some dude who go, why don't you give me $5, or here, take your flyer, throw it on the ground. And
Yep.
so we have that old school mentality of, dude, we got to go down to the copy place, and there's bright orange paper. We'll print these things on here. I've cut this stuff out of magazines, the lettering, and I found this cool picture. And then you got to take it everywhere. Now, when I find myself complaining, like, I got to make a Facebook event for this and share it, I go, dude, what is wrong with you, man?
I can remember we flyered every car pretty much that we could in every parking lot that had anything to do with music, trying to get people to our first show.
Right. Oh God.
I mean,
brutal.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
We had a mailing list back in the day where we'd print these. I mean, I think I did them on a typewriter, fold them, tape them, and then stick labels on them. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot. Our mailing list at that time in 19 whatever it was like 300 people.
Yeah.
So it'd be a whole night, you'd gather it all up on the floor, one person folding, one person sticking, go mail this clump of things out. And so
now it's just reply all. There you go.
Click send all. I'll hit the
2 seconds. Bye.
And yet I still find myself going, I got to send that out today.
Right.
It's going to take me 13 seconds, Yeah, the advantages are great to the way things are now, and it's lost something too. I think when you had to go out and find music and buy it, like wait in line, oh man, the new Metallica's coming out, so I'll go wait in line, which seems ludicrous.
Yeah.
It meant more when you got it in your hand. It's like, and then you had that story and you could go, I was in, for me, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was midnight and the dude behind me was smoking a joint, and this guy, guy had a bottle of wine, and we sat here and we waited and they opened the door and we all bought it. It meant more. Now you're like, well, I don't know. The guy said download it. It was $1.29. I downloaded it. It's in my phone. I listened to it once, and it's good and bad. I want people to get back, and hopefully one of the good things to come from this pandemic is going to be, we're going to see the value. You're going to go, God, the band playing down the road, my buddy's band's playing down the road, and I just want to get out of the house. Or remember when you couldn't. I'm going to remember now that I couldn't go do that. And I'm hoping that when we get out to play shows again, when people get out to see shows again, we're going to change the value a little bit, and that's what we're learning right now, is that, hey man, the arts need to be supported. Music is important. Rock and roll is important. Touring is important.
Right before the pandemic hit, like a lot of big 80s bands were coming back.
I know, right? Huge.
I mean, it was starting to get where, like, it was like REO's coming back, or I don't even know if they were, but like everyone, like who was anyone back in the day, is all of a sudden going to do some kind of tour or release an album. And I'm like, wow. And then everything hit. But I'm wondering now, when everything comes back, if it ever does come back to normal, I wonder if there'll be sort of a new music or a new sort of, there's always, there was glam rock and the metal got really big, and there was the grunge. What's next, I wonder. And
It's out there.
I think it's coming once
Oh, for sure.
everything gets back to normal. There's going to be some band somewhere that's going to get huge.
Well, you just can't coop people up. Creative people who are cooped up, they change the game. And in the history of the world, these renaissances that usually come after something like this, it's where creative people have time to be creative. And even for us in Ghosts and making this record, time is always of the essence when you're living, and for you too, you got shows to record, interviews to do. When you're living an adult life, sometimes you're like, God, man, I got to cram all this in. And so that's a blessing that we had this time, that we had some of our favorite musicians weren't on the road and were available and were, wanting to participate. But it's a time that we've never seen before. And I really do hope that we learn something from this and we put some value back into the arts, back into music, back productions, what it means. There was a big arena tour. It was the Def Leppard, Motley Crue, and Poison tour with Joan Jett. That was scheduled to kick off this summer. It was called the Stadium Tour. And I can remember hearing that announced and going, that's really good news for me. That's good that those bands are playing stadiums. It was good to start seeing the M3 Festival, the Monsters of Rock cruise, Rocklahoma, the music I love, this 1980s hair metal, glam rock, whatever we call it. We were hurting for a while. We were hurting, and it made some of us bitter, toward grunge, right? Although I loved a lot of that music. There's some great music that came out of that. For guys like me, all of a sudden I was looking around and I couldn't find my Faster Pussycat, my LA Guns, and my Vein, and my Wasp, and Motley Crue, and I couldn't find them anymore. And that was sad, because it meant so much. So to see that resurgence was really exciting. And we'll see it again, because what we're going to need when this is over is we're not going to need we don't need any downers. We've had that.
Yeah.
The music I love and the music that connects with me and that we make is the opposite of that, and who knows, we could have a resurgence of some real good time rock and roll that we really need, man. We really need that 70s, 80s. It was a good time, it was, I suppose it's hard to be depressed when you're swimming in drugs and chicks and tour buses and whatever it is, So hopefully we can come out of this, we'll find some positives here. I hope.
I think we will. I think rock is still going to make a comeback. Do you have a single that you're going to put out first? Is that Miles in Between? Or...
Yeah, we're actually right now. We've had Miles in Between, which was our first single on Golden Robot. We currently our second single, a song called Never Goodbye, with Tracy Guns on it, is out right now.
I heard both of those. They're both fantastic.
Thank you, man. That really means a lot. It really does. And then, especially from a music fan, that's what makes me most excited, is when I connect. All I want to do with music anyhow is connect with more weirdos like me. I'm not out here. Yeah, I'm not out here trying to, we're not trying to change the world per se, but we're trying to get to people. We want to find the people who are like us and understand this, and the next single, I think it's out December 7th. It's called Another Rock and Roll Show. It's got Tim Mosier from Junkyard, the band Junkyard, on guitar. And Junkyard, made a big stir. Yeah, they were a fun band. I can remember, we all remember Axl in his Junkyard shirt, So that third single should be out December 7th. It's called Another Rock and Roll Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I made a mistake saying your album would be out December 7th. Is that...
No, you did. It's the single will be out. This third single will be out the 7th. You'll see the full EP probably 2020. I'm sorry, 2021. And we also have a charity single coming out next year, early next year. It's includes us, members of Minefield, and of Wild Street. So
right,
we
Tom,
have.
Tell us about the charity.
So all those bands are on Golden Robot. We met through Golden Robot, And Todd and I, my partner in Ghosts of Sunset, we had a song we were working on, and we were kind of not getting any traction with it. We just couldn't get it moving. Eric from Wild Street, and he kind of had a melody together for us. And then we pulled Brandon in from Minefield, had him play guitar, and then decided we would take the whole thing and release it through Golden Robot, and use proceeds to save our venues and our concert workers. So we're going to put the money toward that charity for because we're losing venues right now at a staggering rate. We've got crew members and bands and support staff that aren't making a living right now.
Yeah.
And if we can do a little bit to help those people out, that's what this charity single will do for us. And that'll be early 2021. And again, I don't know them by name, but the person who ran lights at the 1986 David Lee Roth show I was at,
Yeah.
Did something for me,
Yeah.
and the people who mix sound, and the people who do catering, and the people who load the trucks, and the people who tune the guitars. Yes, the big rock and roll bands are stuck home and not making money now. I want people to think about all those other people too. So yes, guitar player A is not making a living. Maybe he's got some publishing and songwriting, but the person who tunes that guitar, whose life has been a guitar tech to the stars, is not working at all.
Right.
And so we got to help those people out. And that's the best part about our community, is we rock and roll people, whether it's, we got to go band together and fight the jocks, or we got to stay and help each other out. If one of our own is down, one of our own has fallen, this community is always first to step up and help its own out. So that's what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you're doing that. It's great. People need the help. All industries, everyone's affected, but like you say, I mean, the restaurant business, I guess, would be probably the only other comparable, because not even, because at least restaurants can deliver.
Right.
I mean, music is just completely shut down.
It's so scary.
It's really.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like nothing we've seen before. But again, I have full faith in the fact that our community and the people who love music like we do, we're always real quick to jump to support, and we've done it on the global level with the Live Aids and the hearing aids and the We Are the Worlds, right? And we've done it at smaller levels. I live in a community where right before things got really locked down here in Michigan, my cover band, we went and played a benefit for a young lady who has cancer and doesn't have health insurance, can't afford those. That's what rock and roll does. That's what music does, is when we're needed, we'll answer the call, because I can't tell you the number of times I've been standing in an arena with 30,000 people. The person next to me I've never met, I know nothing of, and Motley Crue starts playing Too Fast for Love, and now I notice this dude and I have our arms around each other, and we're both jumping up and down and screaming, too fast for love. And we're both, looking at each other like, wow, geez, you look like you're about my age and you got a kid at home. But tonight we're 18 again, and we're listening to Headbangers Ball, or we're at a show. And there's a freedom in that. It keeps you somewhat young. It keeps you alive. It keeps you relevant, or it keeps you completely irrelevant. That could be too. But I wouldn't get by without it. I wouldn't be here without music. I would be long gone. And right now there's some kid in his bedroom with his laptop, and he's making beats and putting songs together, and he's going to make us all cry someday. That song's going to come out, and we're all going to go, holy crap, where did that guy come from?
Right.
And he was just another kid like you and me, trying to find a voice and, trying to find a place to belong. And so if Ghosts of Sunset can do even that for one single person, we've given a little bit back to the big song. You know, that's all we want to do.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And I checked out the album that you sent over, and I do like every song
Great,
that
man.
that I've heard, and I think it correct me if I'm wrong. Is there maybe just a slight hint at some country?
Dude, that's always going to come through.
Okay.
I
Okay.
grew up like that. I grew up on 1960s and 70s country.
Okay.
Waylon, Willie, Merle, you know, all of it. The outlaw country, the George Jones, Hank Williams. You know, I gravitate toward outsiders, and I gravitate toward grit and
Right.
real things. And so, as much as I love, you know, the Clash, or you know, Slade or Bowie or Mott the Hoople or what, I could see even as a young person that this Hank Williams Sr. guy was like, well, he got kicked out of the Grand Ole Opry. That's rock and roll. They didn't call it rock and roll. It was country music, but
Yeah.
it's that rock and roll attitude. And I can sense that in when I find that rock and roll attitude, I gravitate toward it, you know. So I might not be the hugest fan, but when Miley Cyrus is flipping people off and, you know, spitting whatever she's doing, I go, there's some of that attitude in there. And
Yeah.
I like that, you know, I like real things. And, you know, you can sense it. You can sense when something's insincere, and then you can sense when it's the real deal. And when it's the real deal, I'm all in. So that's where country music came in. That's where classic rock came in. That's where, you know, I liked Duran Duran. You know,
Yeah.
I like Duran Duran. You know why? Because they wrote great songs and they looked great and they put on a show and they were larger than life. You know, they were stars. I liked that too. I liked Mystery. I liked Jimmy Page. You know, I didn't want to see Jimmy Page make breakfast, dude, and I didn't want to watch him take the garbage out, and I didn't want to know that he had bunions or whatever. You know, I still miss some of that mystery, some of that.
Yeah.
What goes on? What's happening? The Sunset Strip. What's going on out there, man? Because Headbangers Ball shows a clip every week, and there's a line outside the Cat House, and Axel's out there, and these guys are Slash is drunk somewhere, and man, that's like that's a world out there that in Michigan, in my little hometown, it was like Oz. You know, it was like, wow, what things happen out there. You know, I had on stretch jeans and a shirt and cowboy boots and long hair, and you know, there was no Cat House for me to go hang out in front of in Michigan. You know,
Right.
but what I did is I found other freaks just like me, and we pretended we were Aerosmith. Pretended we were Guns N' Roses. You know, we did that until we made it happen in some way. You know, and it's because it gave us a voice. It gave us someone to rally with.
Yeah. Well, it definitely comes across on your new album. I can hear I literally when I was listening to it for the first time, I'm like, hold on a minute here, you know, like, why have I not, you know, heard this before? I mean, I knew instantly. I bet, and this guy has all the same influences as me.
Yeah.
And dude, as soon as I looked you up, I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, I got to have him on. Got to have him on.
Yeah, well, dude, I can't thank you enough. I mean, what you're doing for people like us, for musicians, is, you know, for people who are promoting this stuff, you're helping spread that word, you know, and it's no different than, you know, than we would do back in the day. And I really appreciate you having me and supporting it and sharing it. And again, there are no delusions of, well, you know, I'm going to now get a mansion and, you know, tour the world. I'm, you know, making a down payment on a jet. It's not that. You get to a point in your life where all you really want to do is connect a little bit, meet other people who feel the same way you do, and maybe give back to the whole thing. Now, you know, like I had mentioned, you know, Tracy Guns in the LA Guns video. You know, what if you could do that for one person? One person could go, these Ghosts of Sunset guys are making songs and putting them out. I could probably do that too. And you know, maybe their influences are, you know, I don't know a lot of new music, but, you know, maybe they're there's something there that they want to share and give back to. That's all it is. And I'm glad that you could hear those influences. And I'm glad that you went, I think this dude likes what I like. Because when I heard even that early hair metal, I knew that, well, I can hear Led Zeppelin and I can hear the Beatles. I love Enough's Enough.
Yeah.
I love the Beatles first. So did they. So we could meet and
Yeah.
I could go, oh, I hear that, you know. I love
Yeah.
Elvis Costello. I hear that in Donnie V's voice, you know,
Yeah. Little
all of that. So
little Johnny Monaco has a little bit of that Elvis
Oh.
Costello maybe too.
yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Costello fan. Again, I love music across all genres.
Right.
But the stuff that really spoke to me early on and the stuff that Ghosts of Sunset really are trying to convey is that 1980s Sunset Strip, you know, rock and roll. You know, I don't care. Yeah, the hair was poofy and the clothes might have been silly. And you know what? That for some reason people laugh at that, but no one ever goes, Jimmy Page had pants with a dragon down the side of them, and you know, and you know, platform shoe. That's okay. David Bowie is groundbreaking because he shaved his eyebrows off and had colored hair. But Tame Me Down from Faster Pussycat all of a sudden was passe because his hair was too poofy, you know? And I don't buy that. I don't buy that. That's someone telling you what's cool rather than you finding what's cool for you, you know?
Right. I respect Steel Panther because those
Yes.
dudes, I mean, they're just out there like they're doing what they want to do. They don't care what anyone thinks. And I think
all monster musicians too. You
Oh.
strip the joking and the
Yeah.
subject matter. The songs are impeccable. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, the lyrics are classic, especially if you're one of us. If you grew up and love that kind of music, you can get the joke, you know? It's
Yeah.
funny, but there's something there musically and you can sing the chorus even if the chorus happens to be some outrageous topic. They're great. They're absolutely great. Yeah. Killer
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's great because all the not all. I tend to just say everybody thinks the same way. That's just the way. This is the way I talk. But there are people, okay, that are huge hair metal fans.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen. Well, how do I say? My point is trying to I think we've hidden long enough. Being afraid of being made fun of. There aren't many bands coming out that look like Steel Panther anymore, right? Everyone's afraid to do it. They don't, either they just don't want to, or they're, maybe they think if I come out looking like that, no one's even going to listen to the music,
Right.
So, but I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of bands still doing it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because we're all losing our hair.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's killing me. But the thing is about that is I come from a generation and an era where I want that in my music. I don't want you to come on stage and look like you're mowing the lawn, dude. I don't want
Right.
that.
Right.
I don't want you in shorts and flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt. If you're going to come out and rock, I want you to deliver something. You better, and that's where the grunge bothered me. It's like, yeah, I get it. The topics are so heavy that you got to look at your feet and cry during it. I get it. But for me, I came up when club rock and roll was huge. You had to put on a show. Now you have to be this guy, but you can't just stand there. You got to move around and maybe throw that thing around your back once in a while. And so there are bands doing it. I'll tell you, and I've mentioned them already. Of course, and it's not just because we're friends with them, but Wild Street are a glam rock and roll band. They look killer and they make great music. And Minefield, there's rock and roll out there. People are. I don't want you to look like the plumber. It's cool that the plumber looks like the plumber, and I'm glad he's here to change, work on the pipes. But when it's time to rock and roll, I would like you to. I want something to look at. I want something to be. I want to go. The Black Crowes are a great example. I remember that album came out, and I went, "Where do you buy jackets like that? Or where did those boots come from, man? Or where did you get these shirts or whatever?" I want something because I came from the 70s, and 80s when music was big, when it looked like something different. It didn't, there was no one in you weren't going to find Tammy Down from Faster Pussycat living next door in my neighborhood. So I liked that. And that still means something to me. You know, when we go out to play, we look like we're going to make music. You're never going to, you know, Ghosts of Sunset or any of the bands I've worked with, we're not going to walk in and you're not going to go, is that the dude who works the door? Or, you know, is he the bartender? You knew as soon as those 4 or 5 people hit the bar, you went, band's here. The band's here, you know? So it's coming back. And it's because people want that. We want release. We want to show. We want to feel good because we live in pandemics and political crisis and hate and division. And I think we're getting to a point where we're done with that. And it's rock and roll has always been the culture shift. Always. We've always been at the forefront. So you wait when this whole thing is done and the market picks up again and people start making music. I think we're due for some good times. And I certainly can't wait to get out on the road and have some of those good times too.
Yeah, that's very well said. That's kind of the point I was trying to make earlier. Like after the pandemic, someone's gonna make it really, really big, if not a lot of bands, and hopefully you'll be one of them, because your music is right along the lines of what we need right now is, you know, positive energy. I didn't hear any negatives in your song, lyric wise, tone wise, nothing. It was just good tunes, man.
Yeah,
and
thank you, man. God, thank you so much.
That's what we need, man. It's just
amen, brother. Yes, we do. We're due. I'm telling you, we're due, and it's gonna happen. And we'll just, again, you know, that's what we do as a community. That's what we do as fans of music across, you know, and that's all genres. You know, there'll be great rap music that comes out, and there'll be great pop music, and there'll be new country artists who have spent this time melding influences together to give us something new. A great rock and roll will come out of it. It's just, we got to help each other hold on until that happens. You know, we got to check in on each other. We got to make sure everybody's doing all right. We got to make sure that that our fellow human beings are taken care of, and that's most important, you know. And that's, we're connecting with people. I'm telling you, Ghosts of Sunset are connecting with people, and they're special people, and they're cool, and I can't wait to get out and see them in person, because if you and I met in a room, if we were standing in line in McDonald's right now and you had that shirt on, or, you know, Enough's Enough came on the music and we both looked up, we'd make eye contact, and before you know it, we'd be talking about music. And that's what we did. It's you know, right now I don't want to really be out among a bunch of people, you know, with no masks on, but I'll tell you what, in 1989, 1990, I'd be at a concert covered in sweat, hugging the dude next to me, high-fiving this person, you know, drinking out of this chick's wine bottle, whatever it was. And it was because we were there together, and we got it, and we knew we shared something. We might be completely different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, whatever it was. It didn't matter. We all, in unison, could go, shout at the devil, right? So that's the goal. That's always the goal for any music, be it country, folk, rock, you know, pop, whatever it is. It's connecting with people, and this is how we do it. So I owe you a debt of gratitude for helping us make these connections, man.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. John Merchant, Ghosts of Sunset, Headed at West is his new record. It'll be out next year. Hopefully, we're talking early year or?
Yeah, February.
February, okay.
February 2021. Yep, new single will be out December 7th, another rock and roll show.
All right. John, thanks for being here, man. I had a great time. I knew I would.
I know. You know, you get two of us together, this is what we're going to do, man.
I'm like, this guy is like a carbon copy of myself as far as influences. So,
well, keep in touch, man. Please do. And we'll talk again.
Come back when the album comes out, okay?
For sure.
shoot me a message, text me, call me, whatever, and
Yeah.
we'll
Stay
set
connected,
that up.
brother.
Don't get too big for me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay connected. Keep in touch. Okay, man.
All right, brother. Take
All
care.
right. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.